Hi dear all, today in our class we are going to learn about idioms, right? So idioms are the most, fun thing there is, okay? But other than that, you must learn so many of them, right? So many, thousands and thousands of them, right? But you would always remember that idiom is a special part of your paper. IPMAT definitely has it, and the other ones like IPU, CET, CUET, and other paper would also look into it. But yes, that is for sure that IPMAT goes across and gives you good number of questions coming from idioms, right? So keeping that in mind, let's move ahead. What do we have? See, the first one, to throw in the towel. So when do we say to throw in the towel? Now you must remember every idiom has a story behind it. Okay, so what can be the story behind when I say to throw in the towel? So it comes across from sports. That's to which one? Boxing. Okay, so maybe someone is getting a bad beating, right? So he's like losing and he's getting all those punches and everything. So his eyes are black and blue. Oh, another idiom out there. So some problem is happening. So his team manager, he feels like, no, he'll not survive. No, no, no. He might even die. He might get dangerously beaten up. So what they do, they would throw in the towel out there. Okay, which would actually mean to what? As you can see, to get aggressive. No, he's not getting aggressive. To start afresh, he's saying like, no, 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 stop the match. Let's start again. No, definitely not. Is he offering his help that I'll come across and I'll fight for you? No. So what is the answer? The answer is surrender. So he's surrendering, or he's simply giving up. He's saying like, okay, fine, we are lost. Never mind. Fine, we just want to save the man now. Okay, let's go to the next one. A red herring. Fine. A red herring. What does it mean when I say a red herring? Herring is a fish. First thing, it is a fish. But in that case, the answer would have been a type of fish. But always remember, idioms are not literal. Idioms are not literal. You can never say that this is the meaning of the word to word translation. So, a type of fish is actually going away, the very first thing. Be a clue that leads nowhere. Hmm. A clue. So, it is giving us a clue, but going somewhere. I don't know what is that. Where is that? So, it's something which is vague or something like that. Is it a major breakthrough? A dangerous situation? No. So, a red herring is basically a kind of fish that is very difficult to hunt. Okay. So, we can learn it this way. So, if it is very difficult to hunt them, okay, what does that mean? It must be that they puzzle us, they confuse us. Which one out here is actually talking about confusion? So this is B part, a clue that leads nowhere. Fine. So there is a clue, we try to follow that, but when we reach out to that end, we don't find anything, and therefore it would be called as something which is vague, something which is like totally sending us offhand, right? Okay. Third, to bite the bullet. What does that mean? Bite the bullet? How would, who does that? We can have a bite of pizza. Why a bullet? So is it to refuse the fight, to face a painful situation bravely, to shoot aimlessly, or to remain silent? So long ago, what used to happen was when there was fight, okay, so someone is wounded, okay, during the war, because this one came across from World War II, or it can be the World War I as well, some world war. Okay, so what really happened at that time was the people, they had to stitch them, right, and there was no anesthesia or anything of that sort. So of course they are going to have the pain. So that they don't scream, okay, and they can tolerate the pain, what used to happen was they used to take the bullets, okay, and they used to put it in their mouth and bite at it, not chew, They used to bite it, okay, so that they don't have to, uh, scream, okay. So that's why what would be the better answer out here? To face a painful situation bravely is the right answer. Understood? To read between the lines. Now, this is something I have always been saying. When you are doing the critical reasoning questions, when you are doing analytical questions, you have to read between the lines. What does it mean to read between the lines? Is it to interpret the main idea, to skip unimportant parts, to find hidden meanings, to scan a document quickly? If I am doing it quickly, I cannot read between the lines, goes away. To find hidden meanings, yes, when I'm reading between the lines, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out that fine thread with which I want to understand what exactly the author is trying to tell us, which means this can definitely be an answer. Let's go to the next one. To skip unimportant parts. No, in that case, we are not actually reading between the lines, we are just skipping it. To interpret the main idea. No, not about the main idea, because main idea is something which would generally be there right in front of you, but between the lines is basically what is there behind that main idea as well. That is where it works. So that's why your better answer out here is to find hidden meanings. Okay, so your answer is C. Let's move on. To go for a toss. What does that mean? To go for a toss, what does it mean? How would I use it? So you're tossing things, right? To go for a toss, you're tossing things. What is to be? Is it something to do with praising? To get destroyed or ruined? Okay, when I'm throwing it away, it can be destroyed, right? It can be ruined. I can keep this. To be improved, certainly. How can it? How is it possible? I would toss it. It'll it'll fall down. Fine, and it is getting improved in that way. No, it is not. To be tested. No. So the only answer is to get destroyed or ruined. He has so big a social network that his studies have gone for a toss. Simple, right? So what has happened to the studies? He has a social network. He's always socializing. He's always there with his friends. So what has happened to the studies? They have gone for a toss. So what has happened? It has got ruined or it has got destroyed. Easy as that, right? Let's move in. What is it? To cut corners. What would it mean when I say to cut corners? This is what I have. I'm cutting the corners. Why am I cutting the corners? To take shortcuts at the cost of quality, to reduce weight, to improve efficiency, to improve efficiency. Can it be cutting corners? Can it be for efficiency? Can we ever say that? No. Because if we cut corners, we are not actually using the right method, right? This should have been the way it should look, but we are cutting the corners and this is actually not looking good, which means cutting corners is actually a negative thought process, right? It is talking about something which is negative. So what would it be? Would it be to find alternatives? No, because alternative is a neutral word, right? To improve efficiency, it is a positive thing. So definitely this cannot be my answer. To reduce weight, if I reduce the weight of something, what is, again, this is a neutral thing, I don't know. To take shortcuts, yeah, that can be shortcuts at the cost of quality. So what is happening? The quality is somehow what? Not being taken care of. But we are just doing the things because they have to be done and it should be it has to be done in time. So what are we doing? We are cutting corners, not working. So therefore A part is the right answer. Fine. So something which is done poorly just to save time or get more profits or something like that, right? Fine. What is the next thing? It says beat around the bush. Now, this is something you have always been talking about. Of course, hunting something is definitely out of the picture, right? To avoid the main topic, to speak clearly. No, if I'm speaking clearly, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm not around the bush in that case, right? Goes away. To exaggerate, no, not again. What is the thought process? To avoid the main topic. So when you avoid the main topic, you are actually, what are you doing? You're beating around the bush. Okay. So the name this time, this another question that you would find in your IPMAT or the other papers. What would happen is they would underline an idiom and they would ask you what is the meaning of this. But this type of question is easier to be done. Why? Because the sentence is given across. Okay. Moreover, the same question can be in a different way. How? They would give you a blank out here instead of giving a word, giving an idiom, and they would give you options out here and they would ask you what is the meaning of it. Of course, that, my friend, is a bit difficult, right? Fine, but never mind. We are growing with it. We are learning our words, our idioms. So definitely you'll have more options and you would be able to do these questions. Let's see. The politician tried to sweep the issue under the rug. What is he doing? What is the rug? Rug is the carpet. He's sweeping it under it. So what is he doing? To clean up the situation, to highlight the issue, to hide or ignore a problem, to resolve a matter tactfully. He's not trying to resolve it because he's just trying to, put it under covers, goes away. To clean up the situation, definitely not. To highlight the issue, definitely not. To hide or ignore a problem. So what is he doing? He's simply trying to hide it or he's trying to ignore it. He does not want to go to that point at all, right? So your answer is C. So you can see, even if you don't know what is sweep the issue under the rug, uh, through your contextual manner, you can easily do these questions, right? Okay, let's go to the next question. What is the next question? It says, the CEO's decision was a double-edged sword. Fine, double-edged means it has what? It has sharpness on both the side, which means it can cut both the side, which means that is it a good thing or a bad thing? So it has got sharpness on both the sides, which is not good because it might hurt you, the person who is using it. Okay. It improved profits but upset employees. So it has got both pros and cons. Okay, keeping that in mind. A profitable situation? No. A situation with both good and bad outcomes? Definitely. A decision with no effect? A risky but rewarding move? Wrong. The answer has to be B. Fine. So you can see these questions. First thing, there are two things out here you have to learn. First thing, these questions are for certain. Your accuracy level would be very high out here. And more than that, what is important out here is that your timing. Okay. Why? Because these are the questions that you can easily do in 5 to 10 second range. Okay. Once it is done in 5 to 10 second range, it would be easier for you to go ahead and do the rest of the questions which need more time, such as parajumble, paragraphs, RC, and so on, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. What do we have out here? It is, she burned the midnight oil to complete the project before the deadline. Okay, she burned the midnight oil to complete the project, which means stayed awake working late, wasted time, left office early, cancelled the project. How easy can it get? What would be your answer? Your answer would be stayed awake working late. Easy as that. Okay, fine, good enough. So let's see. So whenever I say burn the midnight oil, right? So long time ago, what used to happen was, people, when there was no light out there, people used to use lamps, right? And those, like the students who had to study, and the people who were like, they were into manufacturing or something, and they had to finish some order in the given time. So what was it they used to do? They used to burn the lamp, because they had to work throughout the night as well. So they used to burn the lamp. From there, it came across burn the midnight oil, because the lamp was working with, they used oil in the lamp, right? So that's why A, stayed awake working late. Let's move on. After losing the match, he had to eat humble pie in front of his team. So, fine. I believe this would be an easier version. How would I go about with this? To boast about his performance, he cannot boast now anymore, right? Because boasting is like showing I'm arrogant. So he could have done that if he would have what? If he would have won the match, right? But this is something he has lost the match. So boasting is not stay angry. Nah. Apologize and admit fault, because it is showing about humble. So it cannot be angry. Apologizing and being admitting the fault and all that can actually be an option. So C part is we can keep. Leave the team. Not talking about that. So answer is C. Okay. Right. Let's go to the next one. His argument doesn't hold water when examined closely. Doesn't hold water when examined closely. So when I examine something closely and it is not dash, so what is happening? So it is not actually working out, right? So options: sounds convincing, is full of logic, lacks credibility or logic, is refreshing. So out here, look at it. This is a very important part. Doesn't has not been underlined. So it is only talking about hold water, right? So in that case, when I say sounds convincing, could have been. So many people would actually go about and say like sounds convincing, is full of logic, or is refreshing. Definitely refreshing is not, it is out of the question. But then again, what am I actually talking about? Sounds convincing and is full of logic. How does it work? How does it work? So they might sound same, right? That might be the answer for hold water. But the problem is that sounds convincing and is full of logic. They're on the same line. Out here, you must understand, they might have forgotten to underline doesn't. Fine. Or it is still talking about how the whole thing means. So in that case, the better answer is C, which is lacks credibility or logic. Fine. So you need to be very sure what is being underlined, how it is to be used, and which way we are going to use it to get the answer, right? Okay. She kept working even after her promotion was delayed. That's true grit and grace under pressure. Okay. Grit and grace. So with grace, I cannot have laziness. I cannot have overconfidence. Arrogance definitely cannot be there. Why? Because graceful, right? The person was graceful means the person was elegant, graceful, yeah, subtle, sophisticated, something like that. So definitely laziness, overconfidence, and arrogance cannot work out there. So what is it that we have? So grit and grace, they are positive words. The option is only one, that is strength and composure, right? She kept working even after her promotion was delayed. That's true grit and grace, which means that they have to be positive words. Easy as that, right? Okay. Next, what do we have? The boss's praise was a bitter pill to swallow after months of criticism. So, after months of criticism, he has been criticizing him, and after that, he has finally praised him. Was a bitter pill to swallow. What does it mean? Is it a sweet reward? Is it a welcome surprise? A difficult truth to accept, or distraction tactic? Now look at it. What does it say? It says bitter pill. So there has to be that bitterness out there, right? Something which is like, no, how can this be? So can it be a sweet reward? Definitely not. A welcome surprise? No, because surprise and welcome, they are something not to do anything with bitterness, right? A difficult truth is bitter, right? We can say that. To accept, okay, he's the guy who is appreciating me, how is it possible? It's a difficult truth, how can it be, right? So this can be an answer. A distraction tactic? No, definitely not. So C is the right answer, because it is not a tactic, it is not a strategy or a plan we are talking about. So therefore C is the better answer. Right, the last question. The marketing campaign failed to strike a chord with the target audience. Okay, fail to strike a chord. You know what is chord? Yeah, this is more of your the guitar, guitar, we play chords in that, right? So it's could not play the chord or strike a chord with them. What does it mean? It means that somehow, does it hurt their feelings? But we are talking about striking a chord, right? Confuse the audience, resonate emotionally or mentally, or appeal to musician. Which one would it be? Which one would it be? So, because out here we don't have failed or something like that, so we are going to talk about just to strike a chord. Which one would it be? So, when we strike a chord with someone, we don't hurt them, confuse them. Of course, it is nothing to do with musician because that is too direct. So, the only option is resonate emotionally or mentally. So, when you connect with someone, how? Emotionally or mentally, it would be talking about what? To strike a chord. You're connecting with them. Fine. So these were the questions that I had for you so that you can understand about idiom based questions. Of course, I would be coming across with more questions for you so that you can practice a lot, right? But before I go, you must remember one more thing. Whenever you are doing this kind of like idioms, the best thing to go about is with themes because there are so many, right? There are so many that we cannot simply say that start learning them just like that. Okay. So you take up those things, right? And you can talk about, music related, fine, office related, and you can just find them out, right? Of course, I would be providing you with all these lists so that you can help yourself and start reading all these things, right? Thank you for the day. We'll meet in the next class.